was a sight for my soul.
Around the end of October, my mom came to visit. I had already been in San Francisco for more than a month, so I had my marks around the city. I took her to all my favorite spots, namely the Mission District and, of course, Japantown. We also did the musties and had a lot of good food. It was fun switching from a tourist to a guide. We celebrated Halloween together with some friends around a small fire we built on the beach. It was such a lovely night. One friend and I dressed up for the occasion, which we kinda regretted because it was very windy and it got super chilly as night crept up despite the fire. Can you guess my costume, by the way? On May 5th, we went to the Dia de los Muertos celebration in the Mission District, the Latinx neighborhood of SF. I was so happy to live this event for the first time. I had heard a lot about it through pop culture, and yes, I have to admit that Coco is one of my favorite Pixar movies and I cry every time I watch it. So many people were dressed up with some gorgeous dresses and makeup, and the processions were truly amazing. We also had some pan de muerto, a traditional brioche for the celebration, and it was so good that I regret not having bought more. It makes me really want to see Dia de los Muertos in Mexico next time. For the rest of my mom's stay, we rented a car and went on for a short road trip around California. Our first stop was Half Moon Bay, a city south of SF. I really wanted to see a pumpkin patch and I wasn't disappointed. It looks so lovely, and Americans don't joke around with decorations. There were so many varieties of pumpkins, I had never seen that. And I discovered while being in the US that pumpkin, squash and courgettes were actually native to America, and tomatoes too. What did Italians eat before colonization? There was also a corn maze, which was so American. I had to do it. Glad I never seen in the tall grass. it. Goodbye, corn.
Hi, welcome to Chili's.
Back on the road, we stop at Chili's because is it really an American road trip if we don't eat at fast food diners?
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back, baby back, baby back. I want my baby back rib.
We get 2 black Americanos, 1 small and 1 medium, please.
Were they hot or ice?
Sorry?
Were they hot or ice?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, did you want them with ice or did you?
Oh, no, hot, please.
We want hot coffee.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, bye-bye. Oh, attention. Il a coulé. When I was a child, I had 2 great dreams of things I wanted to see in the world. The Aurora Borealis, aka Northern Lights, and the giant sequoia trees. That day, I realized one of these dreams. In my child's imagination, sequoia were big and tall as skyscrapers. My first impression on seeing a giant sequoia was, therefore, it's not that big. That is, until you stand at the base and look up. In Norse mythology, the world of the giant, Jotunheim, is said to play with perspectives. What is far away seems close, what is close seems far away. Something that looks very big to the eye can in fact be very small, just as something little can in fact be very big. This is what facing giant sequoia felt like. These trees are too big for the brain to comprehend. The size of a tree varies to enormous, to not that big, to in fact gigantic. Every time you look at it, its size changes. You forget the size of normal trees, you forget what you've always known. I forgot the size of oak, birch, and chestnuts. I constantly had to question, are trees usually smaller? You suddenly realize that everything you thought was big was in fact so little. The forests were so different than any I'd seen in Europe. Not only because of the sequoias, but the life inhabiting it is something else. It is full of the sounds of animals and birds singing, pickering, rummaging through the leaves and running along the barks. We saw woodpecker birds and blue jay that I had never seen before, as well as flying squirrels, pikas, deers, and even a black bear crossing the road. These were amazing sights. Wild animals in Europe are very hard to see, even in the forests, as they are very scared of humans and hide at the slightest noise.
Désolée. Il doesn't care. Il s'en fout.
Because of the snow, we were unable to see the one biggest sequoia tree, the General Sherman tree. We, however, visited the Grand Grove, where we took a trail through the forest, visited the Kings Canyon Visitor Center, and went to the Mariposa Grove in Yosemite National Park the next day, only a couple hours away. Looking back, I regretted not having only visited Yosemite instead of stopping first to Sequoia National Park. It was my initial plan when planning for the road trip, but a lot of locals advised me to go to Sequoia to see the trees, and it was gorgeous and perfect if you only want to see the trees. But in the end, the Mariposa Grove in Yosemite would have been enough for me. The entrance to one park is $30 per car for 7 days, which made us spend that price 2 times, and for only being able to see Yosemite 1 day due to the weather. I really wish we would have spent more time in that park instead. I'm not sure what about this gives me zombie apocalypse vibes. This is so
Apocalypse. Hello.
the last day in Yosemite. I of course wanted to hike nearby El Capitan, the iconic rock formation of the park. Unfortunately, it was very rainy and foggy that day, and there was nothing we could have done within the park and had to leave sooner than planned. I'm so glad we were able to see it while crossing the park by car the day before.
Par hasard. Ah, je pensais des morceaux dans le mien.
Mien aussi.
By the end of the trip, we were so sick of diners that we were only eating in Latinx restaurants. If there's one thing I learned in America, is that the only way to have food that is not only cheap and delicious, but also healthy, is by not eating in European American places. We spent the last days enjoying the wine country north of San Francisco around the famous Napa Valley. was a short trip driving around California, but I found myself exhausted every night. I was so surprised because, to be honest, it didn't feel that long. I love driving, and I think because in the US everything is bigger, my proportions just adapted to it. After all, the state of California alone is almost the size of France, so it does make sense. That was my warm-up for Route 66.
Nice.